Welcome to Hoardganize with professional organizer Rachel Seavey. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., Rachel shares her expertise and compassionate approach to help you deal with overwhelming clutter. Rachel?
Hey, collectors! Welcome to the Hoardganize Podcast. I am your host, professional organizer Rachel Seavey, and today I am just thrilled to have two special ladies on the show. I've got Jonda Beattie. She's a professional organizer and owner of Time Space Organization. She's based in the metro Atlanta area. As presenter, author of 3 books, as well as a retired special education teacher, she uses her listening skills, problem-solving skills, knowledge of different learning techniques, ADHD specialty, and paper management skills to help clients tackle the toughest organizational issues. Jonda does hands-on organizing, virtual organizing, and moderates a zone plan teleclass for those who prefer to work on their own with organizational coaching. Diane Quintana is a certified professional organizer. She's certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization. She's a master trainer and owner of DNQ Solutions, LLC, based in Atlanta, Georgia. An accomplished speaker and author of 4 books, she teaches professionals and working parents how to become organized and provides them with strategies and solutions for maintaining order in their busy lives. She specializes in residential and home office organizing in metropolitan Atlanta and in working with people challenged by ADD, hoarding, and chronic disorganization. Diane and Jonda, thank you so much for being a guest on the Hoardganize Podcast. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you both here. Today we're talking about hoarding disorder, or are we? I mean, the DSM definition of hoarding disorder is persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions regardless of their actual value. So a lot of my listeners might not actually know the definition, the true definition. So I'll just repeat it so that they can kind of see if it correlates with them. It's persistent difficulty discarding or parting with possessions regardless of their actual value. You two have been doing this for quite a while, and just like myself, we get called in, we're told it's a hoarding situation, and once we start working with some of these clients, you discover that while it looks like hoarding disorder, there's actually so much more going on. And I'd love if you each could tell me a little bit more about that.
That's so true. Sometimes I come into a home and been just met at the door by boxes and piles and papers and clothes. And as my client and I work through it, we may come to find that it could be a result of a very quick move and jumping right into a job without taking the time to unpack, or maybe some sorting wasn't done before even the packing process began. So maybe there were broken things or things that the person didn't even want to have with them in all the stuff that came with them, and they don't know what to do with it, and they don't have a place for it because they don't want it, and so things happen like that. I can tell you specifically about a case, a story where a very young woman, maybe in her late 20s, early 30s, she met me at the door, and there were piles and piles of boxes and clothes and papers and kitchen things. And as we worked together, she told me that she was afraid that she was becoming a hoarder or a person challenged by the hoarding disorder because her mother was very much like that. And as we worked, I discovered this was the very thing that happened to her. She was newly divorced. She'd moved to a new town. She didn't have very many organizing skills in her wheelhouse, and she had just started a new job. So we sorted, we tossed, we put her closet together. She donated lots of clothes. She had no problem throwing things away. She had no problem donating things out. She had no problem getting rid of the cardboard boxes and things like that. By the time we were finished, her home really looked like a home. So that's one example for you, Rachel.
Give another example then. One of the clients that I was holding with, her counselor had suggested that she work with me. And her husband felt like that she was definitely a hoarder because she just had all of these things. She was a photographer. She had all of these things that she kept, wanting to use them. They were all so beautiful to her. She knew that she could use them in different situations. But as we started to work, I found out, first of all, she was very sentimental. So she had a very hard time getting rid of things that came from her family. And then she was also extremely ADHD, to the point that when I was trying to put some shoes that I was going to label with pictures on the top of her closet, she said, "No, you can't do that. I'll forget I have those shoes. They have to be out where I can see them." But we worked for years. I'm still working with her. And one, I think one of the biggest wins I had was when a family organ, which nobody used, and had been sitting in a room that she wanted for a recreation room and for exercise, she finally got rid of. And I felt like that was a tipping point for her. So was it hoarding? No, I don't think so. She had tendencies there to keep stuff, but when she could talk through it and realize what she was doing, she could let things go.
Yeah, these stories are just so similar in what I've witnessed as well. Do you feel like there's an advantage as a professional organizer or someone coming in to help, that knowing this kind of stuff might be helpful to people, and knowing that it might be something else besides true hoarding disorder?
I do feel that. I think that in our society in general, we rush to attach a label to something. We are so quick to say, if somebody is meticulous and really detail-oriented, we label them OCD, which they may not be. They may not be obsessing over the details. They just may be a very detail-oriented person. And so I feel like, or if somebody is a little bit scattered, we'd say, "Oh, that's ADD." And people often even label themselves ADD. They have a lot on their mind. They say, "Oh, I'm just ADD. Don't worry about me. I'm just scattered." And so I feel like when somebody has trouble with their collections or with the mountain of stuff, it's often because they're too close to it. They can't really see beyond the stuff. And if a professional can come in and help them navigate through some of these things, that they can get beyond the stuff and to hearing about why it may be good to let something go, or even why it may be good to keep something.
Yeah, and on the thinking about the client I was just talking about and others, if they are holding on to the idea that they might be a hoarder, this is scary to them, and it really diminishes who they are. If we can come up with, I'm seeing some attention problems here. Have you talked to your doctor? I'm seeing that you're very stressed out. Have you talked to your doctor about possible depression? If we can come up on another reason that this person can't move through their stuff, and that can be treated, then after that is taken care of or worked with or acknowledged even, then we have a lot better chance of going in and working using some of the same language, moving them through the process of letting things go. They're no longer thinking that, "Oh, this is such a terrible thing." They know, "Oh, this is my problem and I'm working through it," and they're more open.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with the ADD or ADHD and the labels. I usually say, "Oh, really? Were you diagnosed with something?" And a lot of people have not been. They're self-diagnosed. They're labeling themselves, or somebody told them they thought they had it. And so it's really so liberating to actually go in and find out if you have ADD, if it's something that's of a concern for you, and have someone that's a professional diagnose you. And then if you find out you do, that's amazing, because then you can really understand why you're having all these issues getting organized. And if you're not, maybe you can feel better because you're no longer labeling yourself, and maybe you're just a little distracted. You've got a million things going on, and that's just normal. That's life. And so I just love those stories. And besides situational disorganization, depression, and ADHD, what other possible causes have you come across?
I came in contact with a client, a wonderful guy, whose home was full, but he didn't know what to do with all the recycling he had, and he was really, really, really environmentally conscious. He wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to recycle all of his electronics properly. The things he was no longer using, he didn't want. Some of them, I think, were broken, but he didn't want to throw them out. He had lots and lots and lots of books. He had lots of CDs. He had lots of glass containers that they were just in boxes all over the place. So, and styrofoam and cardboard, to the point where literally his home was full. And once we figured out that that was the problem, that he just wanted to do the right thing environmentally, and I could tell him exactly where to take his things, it was fine. We made a whole bunch of trips to the different recycling centers, places that would take electronics or glass or styrofoam, because sometimes it's not all in the same recycling center. But once we did that, we were able to get him to a place where he could live comfortably in his apartment, which was, so that's sort of a different, it's not situational disorganization exactly. It's more, he needed information. He needed to know what to do with these things that he didn't want.
Yeah, and I had a friend. She worked with me in the school system because I was in 30 years in special education. And she was sentimental about her work. She liked to keep a lot of her stuff. She was sentimental about her family stuff. But it wasn't too bad. It was a lot of stuff, too much stuff. But then she started to have physical problems. She started to have hip problems, and she had to have a knee replaced. And then she started to even have some dementia problems. So then we're now going into what Judith Kohlberg, I think, calls a passive decline. She could no longer bend over and pick things up. She no longer saw some of the things that were there. And so her situation is become something that looks like a hoarding situation. However, her son lives with her, and he doesn't want anyone else in the house right now, so there's not much I can do about that. But this is not so much where she is now bothered by her environment. She would like to have it cleaned up, but she cannot do it. And she doesn't always see it. She just sees that little pathway that she gets to go down. So that is something where, no, I don't think she is in a hoarding situation. She is a hoarder, but that her home looks that way.
Yeah. Those are great stories. It's amazing how many different reasons people can have to have so much clutter. And it all does, to an inexperienced eye, look like a hoarding situation. I found that people are kind of relieved, to understand themselves more, whether or not it is a true hoarding situation or they feel it is. And so just learning more about yourself and what's holding you back, whether it's cognitive, whether it's situational, whether it's motivation or beliefs. Beliefs, the client you had with the recycling here in the Bay Area, that's a really big deal. And a lot of my clients would rather pay me the extra time to recycle things properly, and they know, okay, it's being done correctly, it's good for the environment, and they're fine with it. We've got our battery bags, our fluorescent bowl bags, we're going here, we're going there. But like you said, not true hoarding. They just want to make sure that it gets taken care of properly.
And it's tough if you're in a small space. Things pile up, and if you don't know what to do with it, or you don't have a place to take them, or you don't have time to take them, then it becomes a problem.
Well, ladies, is there anything else you want to share?
Oh, we could talk with you for hours about these different stories. We can go on and on and on. We come across so many different people and different people, all unique situations, but somehow they all end up sounding similar, when you actually peel away the layers and you look at them.
I think the only other thing I would add is if you're trying to work with somebody that's like that looks like it might be in a hoarding situation, to be so non-judgmental and to listen to their story, find out why is this stuff here. Don't ask why do you keep that, but something more like, well, can you tell me more about this stack over here, or these big stack of books? And then you may get the backstory, and it makes it more personal, less threatening, judgmental.
Excellent. It's been phenomenal having you on the show. I know my listeners out there are going to be able to relate to your stories, and I know they've learned something. There's a lot of takeaways here. Now, I think you're both in Atlanta. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Diane, how do they do that?
They can reach me on my email or contact me through my website. And my email is diane@dnqsolutions.com. And my website is dnqsolutions.com.
And I'm timespaceorg.com or Jonda@timespaceorg.com.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to have you back again on the show. I could speak with you for hours as well. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you, Rachel.
Collectors, I do hope that you enjoyed that recording with Jonda, Beattie, and Diane Quintana. I apologize if you had any audio issues. I did record this on Zoom earlier this week. I have to give these ladies credit. They looked amazing. We were all on point. And then it was my first time and I didn't hit record. So I'm really just trying to salvage this episode. I can't wait to have these ladies back on the show. I do apologize if there's audio concerns. And if you are listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed. Click the thumbs up button. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. Until next time, collectors, remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
Now, a short ad break from Clarity Coaching.
Do you feel overwhelmed with clutter? Are you having trouble finding a place to start? Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, especially with all of the judgment and shame out there. What you need is an experienced, non-judgmental guide to help you navigate through your clutter chaos. I'm a guiding force that's going to help you empower yourself so you can live a happier, healthier, more organized life. I will take the time and I'm going to hold the space for you to understand your world, your dreams, your relationships, and your clutter. I do this with no judgment and no other agenda, but to help you achieve what you want most in life. And this, my dear collectors, is something that most people have never experienced. To experience the life that you truly desire, schedule your free Clarity coaching session today by emailing me at rachel@collectorcare.com. That's rachel@collectorcare.com. Or call me directly. I'm at 925-548-7750. That's in America, so that's area code 1-925-548-7750. Clarity consultations are complimentary for individuals seeking my coaching services, and they're very useful to make sure that we're the right fit for each other. Stop living in chaos and start living the organized life you desire.
This has been Hoardganize with Rachel Seavey. New episodes are available every Sunday at 6 p.m. and also on the Collector Care YouTube channel. Download Rachel's Affirmations for Collectors on iTunes or Amazon.com, or sign up for Rachel's blog at collectorcare.com and receive 7 tips for clutter-free living. Thanks for listening.